What up, world out there? How y'all feeling today? How y'all feeling? Good, we hope. Genesis, how you feeling today?
I'm doing well. Thank you, Marvin.
That's great. Great to hear you doing okay.
Thank you.
So, myself, I'm feeling great. I was getting bombarded with some questions. I was talking to like a group of ladies and men earlier this week, and an interesting question came up, something about parenting, right? And I know we cover a lot of stuff on parenting. And it's an interesting topic because I was like, let me bring it to the show to see what Genesis think, because I know you not a birth parent, right?
Right.
So this question came up about when a woman and a man have a baby, why do women think that they're more of the parent than the father is?
Ooh.
Have you ever heard of that?
I have not heard of it, but I can see why that is a topic of conversation. I'm just wondering, who are your people, Marvin? Who are you hanging out with?
I'm with everybody. My ears to the street.
Okay. I think overall, traditionally, mothers have been more nurturing. And I think it's just natural because the mothers are the ones who are carrying the baby throughout the 9 months. This is just what I hear in conversation from maybe my friends. Mm-hmm. And it builds a different attachment, from what I've heard, a different level of love.
Yeah.
And so maybe that's why. And they feel like they know better, or they can do better.
Right. And I'm glad you said that. That's what they feel like, right? So like, just automatically, even with the state, right? When people get state involved in families and stuff, and families split up, you always see the kids go with the mother.
Yes.
Right? And then just growing up and just hearing these conversations when I was talking to people earlier this week, all the women were saying like, it's my child. And I'm like, no, it's not. The father is just as important as the mother. I know you carry the baby and all that, you want to think you more important, but the father is just as important. So like, why would you think they think it's my child outside of they carried the child?
I mean, that's a good question. I mean, all I can do is assume. I can assume that it's because the mother feels like they are more maybe detailed, maybe they're more thoughtful, maybe they understand the child more because they're more involved. And this is from a traditional perspective, because traditionally women have been more involved with the children just because that's been like the traditional foundation where the fathers are the breadwinners. Fathers tend to be less, men in general just tend to be less emotionally involved, really don't know how to connect in that way, is what I'm thinking. This is traditionally. This doesn't mean it's the all too, okay? Because like I said, my dad was very involved in my life.
Right, exactly.
Very emotionally involved. But what I've noticed is that that's not a lot of women's experience. Especially, I'll talk about my environment specifically. That has not been their experience. Mm-hmm. Most of my friends, I would say, are more like daughters, mommy's daughter or whatever, but I was more of like a daddy's girl. So I don't have that personal experience, which is, again, why I can't relate to it. My dad was heavily involved. My godfather was heavily involved. I've had really positive men in my life who are always emotionally involved in my life. So I don't know. Yeah,
that question, it just triggers me, right? As a parent myself, like I just think that fathers are equally important.
For sure.
I think the part that they weigh on the kid is just as equally as important as a mother. And I can understand what women say, like, oh, I carried the child and all this. We have no control over that, right?
Right,
That's just
exactly.
That's how nature is designed. But I don't feel that one parent is better than the other. And even in some circumstances, right, just from me being out in the world, I see where the state or something got involved and the mother gets custody of the child or just takes over the child, right? And that just don't mean that that's a better situation, right? And like you said, traditionally, the mother has been the one who take the child or do this or do this. I wish I had wrote it down. I forgot. But it's a study that they did that showed a child raised by a single parent mother and a single parent father. And the kids that was raised by the father, however you want to measure success, turned out to be more successful 65% of the time.
Oh, that's a good stat.
So what I looked at it as is that, and women, don't kill me for this, but women are more emotional.
Yes.
Men are more logical, right?
Yes.
So men are better equipped, don't kill me for this, to teach the child to handle the world when they enter the world That's why I think a 2-parent household is great because you get it from
Oh,
both
yeah,
sides.
for sure.
But men are more logical thinking, right? So that's how the world is going to treat the child when they get out into the world. But again, I don't think one parent is better than the other. But I just wanted to know, like, why do women feel like these are my kids? Like, it shouldn't be like that.
Well, I think that also that is said because of experience. I'm going to always go back to experience because I feel like the reason why they're saying that is because the experience wasn't a positive one. Like, I think it's like, did she notice maybe that the dad wasn't involved? Is she noticing that maybe the father isn't doing enough work, to care for this child, right? I think that those conversations and those statements come because it's based on their personal experience.
Yeah, and I think that the role, right? Because sometimes I look back at the roles and traditionally how houses were set up, right? Man was the provider.
Yep.
So typically you wasn't there because you was out to provide,
Right.
which handicapped men in those situations where they say, well, the mother took care of the child this time, they should be better off with her. But now we in a society where men and women have to work,
Right.
right? So now we on the even playing field, but those mothers still say this, right? And then you might, a lot of those men, they go to court and they try to fight for their rights for the child or whatever, right? And the courts typically say, you got to pay this much child support to the
Right.
man, which again kind of brings him away from having a child there because from experience and what I've seen, the state will help the mother with everything.
Right.
Daycare, food stamps, whatever. But when a single father have a child, there's no help, right? So he's doing it all on his own. So again, just outside of that, with those things that we know, like I just don't see how women could just say, and not all women, but most of them will say, these my kids, they coming with me. But then they'll turn around and say, the fathers don't want their kids. Yes, they do. I know a lot of fathers who wish they could have their kids like that. But women go to court or whoever take them to court, and the court deem what's best for the kids, which we know they in the business of making money, so it ain't what's best for the kids. But
I mean, it's true. I can talk of personal experience too. I won't say names, but I do believe that that's true. And I believe that they don't give men the benefit of the doubt with it. I believe that it's an unfair system.
yeah,
I do believe it is. It's an unfair system.
it's definitely unfair. And then I think I was watching a court show before. I won't say the name, but this guy, he's always advocating for men to be on child support. He always say, like, you should want to be on child support. Let the state determine this and that. And I just feel like nobody should come in between, like, what me and, for example, me and you created a child. The state don't have no say-so in that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
But I will say this, Marvin, not everybody is you, right? Not everybody thinks the way that you do. Not everybody moves the way that you do, which is why I'm
Y'all
saying no. I mean, I like I said, I've had positive experiences with men. I have nothing to say negative about men. But what I will say that I know a lot of people that haven't had that experience, and it's unfortunate. And I feel sad for them because I think that men bring a lot to the table. But I do believe and feel that, and it could be because the men feel overwhelmed by the women, like they're trying. Maybe they're trying to put the effort, and the woman's like, "No, you're not doing it right. Let me just do it." Yeah. So it could be that as well. And so then what happens is then the men tend to like digress and be like, whatever, fine, do it because you're annoying me at this point. I think that it's because like men will give up eventually because again, women, we at times are overwhelming. And we want to make sure that things are done a particular way or that we're engaging with, our kids a particular way. And maybe the men, men function differently. And so the men are not going to do it the same way that a mother does it. But then I think that's where the miscommunication comes in. They start to argue. And then the men are just kind of like, whatever, I'm not going to deal with this.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I could see that. And it could be said both ways because then it's like, well, women won't do things the way a man would do.
Right.
And I could do it better and blah, 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 right? But what to me, right? This to me. Y'all could kill me if y'all want to or whatever. But to me, it's like, it's almost like women see it as their property. Like, this is mine. This is my property. I own this. And like, you renting it. I let you be a part of this, right? And I'm like, that's not right. That's not true. And it might not be I'm not saying that every circumstance is wrong, but it might not be what's best for the kids, right? Because I see a lot of people say like, well, men just abandon their kids. Well, I don't think a lot of men just abandon their kids. I just think the circumstances they put in is like they back against the wall, and they might do give up easy, but I think a lot of it is like both parties not taking accountability for what's going on.
No, for sure it is. It has to be both. But again, I think how men function, Marvin, men are very logical, right? And they're very simple. And so like, all right, you don't want me involved? I won't be involved.
Well, okay. So that's what the world like to say, right? That men are very logical and simple, right? So I'm gonna tell you what's really men, right?
Okay,
so
go ahead.
Men are very emotional, right?
Okay.
We just don't have emotional responses.
Right.
So we think logical because we don't want to respond emotionally.
Right.
But the emotion is there, but we just think logical, where most women, I ain't gonna say all, they just react off the emotion.
Yes.
So that's where it could seem that a man is just like, oh, we so simple, but we just not. It's just that men, we trying to find the simplest solution to
Right.
everything. We don't want a complex and da-da-da-da-da. We already facing a lot out in the world. So when it come to personal life, we want it to be simple and that could work out for everybody. Where women want it to, not all women, but they want it to work out for them, right? And I've even met kids that grown up in these situations, and when they grew up, they had a certain perception of their father.
Yes.
Until they became an adult and realized that it wasn't what they thought it was.
Right.
So, I mean, it's no right or wrong, but I think that men should be given more opportunity to
I for
have
sure
their
believe
kid.
that. I'm for the men. I really am for the men. Yes, I am.
One of the few.
But again, I think, all of this revolves around, experiences, choosing your partner, the dynamics, making sure it's healthy, that you communicate well with others, and then your perception of it would be completely different. Again, I must be really special because I have a special place in my heart for men. I really do.
She's one of the special ones.
Yeah, I really do. I've seen it personally, how it impacts a man, and how doing that kind of stuff back and forth with the court and dealing with, difficulties when the relationship doesn't work and how it impacts the child. I mean, I've seen it. And I think that men are not given enough credit for it, for sure. Like, yes, I am that woman. I'm going to give men credit here because I believe that they're not given enough credit.
So you heard it here. They not. I'm pretty sure a lot of women out there think that, but that conversation has just been like a topic that's been going around a lot. And just to piggyback off of that, right? So this is another part to that with the question, right? And this is a question that I've been in a lot of groups and they've had and circles they've had, and there's no right or wrong in this situation, but hypothetically, let me give you a hypothetical.
Okay,
right?
hypothetical.
So let's say a woman and man lay together, woman get pregnant.
Uh-huh.
Man say he don't want to have a child.
Right.
Woman decide, I don't care what you think, we go have this child. But man already told you he don't want the child. Now let's switch it up. Woman gets pregnant. Man say, I'm so happy I want that child. Woman say, I don't want no kids, I'm having an abortion. What's right, what's wrong in that situation?
That's a tough one. I don't know.
Because on one hand, you say, I can't tell you what to do with your body,
Right.
but I told you I don't want kids.
Right.
And you still decide to have this child. So should I be responsible for that child?
I think there needs to be a form of accountability, yes, because it was developed by two people.
But I told you I didn't want it.
I know, but then
still
you should have
decide to
been
have
safe.
it. Okay.
You should have been safe. Then
You still decide to have that child
Right.
against what I said.
Right.
Now let's reverse it. You got pregnant and
Right.
and I'm like, oh, I'm so ecstatic, my child, and you say you don't want it.
Right.
But you say, I don't care what you say, I'm getting rid of it.
Well, once again, we've talked about this. We have to learn how to communicate with one another.
I know, but see, on the first hand, you said like, I said I didn't want this child, and you said you go have it. So
Well,
it should be some form of responsibility on me, even though I said I didn't want it.
Right, well as the female.
But when I wanted it and she didn't want it,
Right.
she decided, well, it don't matter what he think, I'm going to do what I want to do. So in both cases, ultimately women saying, it don't matter what you want to do, I'm going to choose to do what I want to do.
Yes, that is true. And again, in a perfect world, we would communicate with one another.
Yeah.
We would make better choices so that we're not put in those situations. I mean, this is the truth. We choose the people to engage with. And when you're engaging with that particular person and you don't know them or they're not giving you what you need, why do we still, I don't understand that. Like, we continue to engage in that. And then there's going to be consequences. As you said, what do you say about consequences and people? What do you say?
You're free to do whatever you want to do, but you're not free from the consequences.
You're not free from the consequences.
Yeah. So, just like you said, you're not free from the consequences. So, you decide to have a child, and I say, I don't want it. You chose to have it. Now, here come the consequences. I don't want nothing to do with you or the child, and I don't want to pay no child support. I'm not doing nothing. Leave me alone.
I think that's valid.
You think it's valid?
I think it's valid.
And you'll just let it fly?
I mean, again, if I am choosing, again, I can only speak about me, right? Personally, I would just take responsibility for that. Because if why would I want somebody who doesn't want to be around or who doesn't want me or doesn't want the child or whatever? I just there's no use in investing energy into that.
That's true.
But that's me.
Yeah. It's a tough question. I mean, a lot of men, that's a lot of in the men's circles, it's talked about. Like, men say, hey, I lay with this girl, told her I didn't want kids, she got pregnant, and she still decided to have a baby against my wishes. But if I decide I want a baby and she say no, I just got to deal with it.
And that's a little bit, I think it's tougher. I still believe that you should take the man's feelings into consideration. I believe that should be a thing. Now, but it's difficult because you can't control it at that point because she can do whatever she wants. She can say, yeah, fine, I'll do it. I'll keep, going through the process and then not actually do it and tell you after the fact. There's nothing that you can do as a man from that perspective. You can't do anything about it. Yep. But I don't think that it's right for a woman to disvalidate what you want.
Yeah. It's just a wild world out there.
This is why, again, we need healthy relationships. We need compromise, coexist. Because if we did that, if we were more efficient in that, then we could have these conversations and we can not part ways in such a negative way.
Yeah.
But I know that's hard because emotions are involved, perceptions are involved, personal experiences get involved.
And then sometimes you really don't know who you're dealing with until
it happens.
Something like this happens, and then you really see who you're messing with.
But that still is based on your decision making. You decided to engage with this particular person, not having all the facts, not knowing everything.
You can never know the facts.
But you make your best judgment.
Emotional.
You have to make your best judgment. Like, I'm not saying you're going to know everything, anything that you do, but you make your best judgment by it. You have to look at I'm going to look at all the details first.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to make my best judgment and trust, because eventually you have to trust. Also, like, you can't just go over here thinking everybody's going to screw you over or something. I have to make my best judgment based on what I know, based on how we're, the chemistry is, how we're connecting with anybody in general. And then I'm going to decide what to do if I continue to engage with that person or not. And I'm going to trust until otherwise proven not to trust you.
Yeah. That's wild. And even with, and I wasn't with this at all, but when they, passed the law about the abortion stuff, which was, in certain situations it's crazy or whatever, but it was kind of like, in a way, where it was like, now even if you don't want that baby and that man want it, now you got to have it. Now you put in a situation where you can't control what's going on as a woman, and they didn't like that.
It's conflicting.
Yeah, it's conflicting. Even on mine, I'm like, wow, that's a little touchy there. I don't even want to go into it because I ain't got nothing to say about it, but it's crazy. But those questions about that, just having a child with a woman and her being to dictate whether you have it or not, even if you don't want it. And I know when everybody go say, oh, well, you should be having safe sex and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, Marvin. Jesus.
It ain't me.
He didn't learn this in school.
No, none of y'all did.
Speak for yourself, Marvin.
They didn't. Whatever you learned, you did the opposite. You know it. So, tell us in the comments what you think. If a man wants his child, should they have it? Should the woman have the child, just give it to the man? And let him have it. Is fathers equally as important as mothers in a child's life? Should kids just be predominantly with the mother if they split? Should they be with the father? Should it be a child's choice at a certain age. I mean, it could be an array of decisions and answers, but tell us what you think.
And also, why do you think women think that way? Why do you feel, why do you all think that women feel like, you know, that's kind of like their property, as Marvin said, right? Like, it's my child. Why? I'd like to know.
Yep. And women with kids, chime in and tell us, like, do you think that way? Or do you feel like you 60-40, like it's more mine because I carried the child 9 months? Or what do you think? Because with a child of mine, it's mine, just like it is hers.
That's true.
Equally.
Facts.
Let us know what y'all think, and we'll be responding. Thanks.